Hello, I'm Jo Hemmings, Behavioural Psychologist, and thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Agents Together Winning Ways series. Today I want to talk to you specifically about your business, selling and renting commercial and residential properties. And while it's no secret that the public perception of estate agents is not always a favourable one, it is an industry that we all need, and contrary to perception, many people have found their experience of working with their estate agent to be a positive and an encouraging one. Firstly, let's just consider what perception is, not in the psychological sense, which is a complex process of getting, interpreting, selecting and organising sensory information and includes a collection of data from sense organs through to the interpretation made by the brain. No, let's consider instead the straightforward dictionary definition of perception, which is simply the way in which something is regarded, understood or interpreted. So why is the public perception of estate agents so poor? A recent survey explored the perceptions of UK homeowners across a variety of property-related topics, including the services consumers expect as part of an estate agent's fee, preferences for online property portals, and the public perception of estate agents. Only 18% of homeowners view estate agents as helpful, while 20% view them as knowledgeable, with over a third, 35%, thinking estate agents are pushy, and 30% perceiving them as poor value for money. Other research has shown that estate agents come near the bottom of the latest Trusted Professions poll. Estate agents are trusted by 30% of people. Agents are followed down the table by journalists at 26%, advertisement executives at 17%, government ministers also 17%, and politicians generally at 14%. In comparison, nurses, trusted by 95% of people, doctors, dentists and teachers top the list of most trusted professions, followed by engineers in fifth place. 95% of buyers and sellers believe that working with an estate agent is important, and yet the public predominantly class this service as a necessary evil rather than a worthwhile skilled service. A few bad estate agents have cast a shadow over the industry, and the countless honest, credible estate agents have to work harder than ever to make up for the actions of a small group of poor-performing agents. People are far more likely to voice complaints than praise, and this is problematic for an industry so heavily built on customer service. When feedback is voiced online, its capacity for reach is amplified exponentially. This double-edged sword can make or break a business's reputation, and it's this online behaviour that is placing responsible estate agents above the rest. One of the key factors is empathy. We've all been through this crisis together. It's an experience that has touched every single one of us in some way. It's the ideal opportunity to present yourself with more open communication, approachability and understanding. But what is empathy, and can you cultivate it to not only improve the service to your clients, but also to the quality of your own life? Empathy is the ability to step into the shoes of another person, aiming to understand their feelings and perspectives and to use that understanding to guide your actions. That makes it different from kindness or pity, for example. The coronavirus epidemic has turned empathy into a buzzword. The old view that we're essentially self-interested creatures is being nudged firmly to one side by evidence that we're also wired for empathy, social cooperation and mutual aid. Psychologists have shown that we're primed for empathy by strong attachment relationships in the first 2 years of life. But empathy doesn't stop developing in childhood. We can nurture its growth throughout our lives, and we can use it as a radical force for social transformation. Research in sociology, psychology and history reveals how we can make empathy an attitude and a part of our daily lives, and thus improve the lives of everyone else around us. It's such an important aspect of improving perception of your industry that I want to look at it in a bit more detail, especially as the empathy that we are gifted with by nature can vary hugely. So these are 4 habits of empathetic people that you can learn and use when going about your business. Cultivate curiosity about people. Highly empathetic people have an insatiable curiosity about strangers. They will talk to the person sitting next to them on the bus, having retained that natural inquisitiveness which we all had as children, but which society is so good at beating out of us. They find other people more interesting than themselves, but they're not out to interrogate them. Curiosity expands our empathy when we talk to people outside our usual social circle, encountering lives and worldviews very different from our own. Cultivating curiosity requires more than having a brief chat about the weather. Crucially, it tries to understand the world inside the head of the other person. You're confronted by strangers every day. They're your clients. So you have the ideal opportunity to be more open-minded and perhaps less judgmental about the people that you meet. Challenge your own misconceived notions about people. Life's experiences, TV, movies, and other influences inform our decisions about the world. Because of this, we grow up with certain notions about people or collective labels. Highly empathetic people challenge these notions and seek to understand people rather than judge them outright. They understand that the prejudice and perceptions we cultivate can often be wrong, so they're always looking to learn more about that which they don't yet fully understand. Place yourself in other people's shoes. Every once in a while, there's some real wisdom in those old sayings. Placing yourself in someone else's shoes is one of those. Highly empathetic people make it a habit to imagine themselves in the place of another person, to think what they might be thinking, feel what they might be feeling, and do what they do, so they can understand why they believe what they believe. Become a good listener and don't be afraid to open up. Develop the ability to listen deeply. Most people don't know how to listen well because they're too busy thinking about what they want to say. Highly empathetic people are great listeners because they're sincerely interested in hearing what the other person has to say. Be willing to open up and express yourself to others. Remember, empathy doesn't spur interrogation, just a natural curiosity to learn more about people. This generates the willingness, even a desire, to open up yourself so that the other person might understand you better as well. Taken together, an empathetic conversationalist is someone who doesn't just know how to listen deeply, but also knows how to connect deeply with another person. As well as the psychological side of adopting better professional and personal principles, think of evolving online networks as your friend, enabling you to distinguish yourselves from each other and utilising social media to grow networks, build meaningful relationships with consumers, and help customers separate the wheat from the chaff. There are more than 1.6 billion social media network users worldwide, and 76% of UK internet users are engaging with social media regularly. Social networks provide a relatively low-cost touchpoint with proven impact on sales and positive review, and these numbers represent a vast pool of opportunity for brand visibility. A recent YouGov survey found that the majority of consumers write online reviews to help others make better purchasing decisions, and that 79% of people trust online consumers' views as much as personal recommendations. Developing and maintaining user approval can swiftly shift public perception and attitudes towards an agency. When consumers read reviews, they have generally already identified a need or issue that they require a professional to satisfy. It necessarily follows that the path from reading online reviews to business selection is short, and the potential to convert searches into clients high. Nurturing new user relationships and retaining existing client loyalty through social media underpins positive online reputations. In the fluid, dynamic and amplified arena of the digital world, a positive and keen online presence endows estate agents with a competitive edge and helps to develop and reinforce positive consumer attitudes towards agents. Proactive estate agents are implementing social media into their marketing plan in order to distinguish themselves from the poor performing agents that have darkened the industry's reputation by establishing trusted and valued relationships with consumers. Being empathetic in person and driving your business online are not mutually incompatible goals. Death, divorce and debt have been cited as the three main negative reasons for why people move. And you are likely to encounter an increased number of clients selling their properties for these reasons over the next few months. I've talked about the need for increased empathy and how to make people feel like individuals with personal issues that you understand. Because of the 3 Ds, it's important to state the blindingly obvious, of course, that many of your clients won't want to be selling their properties because they choose to, but because distressing circumstances have obliged them to. But as a result of having more properties to sell, there is also an opportunity for new clients. First-time buyers looking for something affordable, or legacies enabling people to get another rung up the property ladder. Many will also feel that after a prolonged period of lockdown and disruption to their personal and their professional lives, they might just have seen enough of their own homes for a while and be longing for a change and a newness which might punctuate the next phase of their lives. Having been confined to quarters for so long may result in an increased number of divorces, but for some families there will also be a planned or surprise corona baby on the way, and that will often mean upsizing from their current properties to accommodate the new addition to their family. Having been deprived of seeing their families, others will feel that a move to be closer to them would work well for them. As children go back to school, people will once again be looking at good catchment areas, and some people will just be aching for a change of scenery. So there is much to be positive about, and out of the darkness will come hope, the sort of hope that you can be an instrumental part of, by listening, understanding and supporting your clients through the process of selling and buying. And ultimately, as agents together, challenging those poor perceptions of your industry and creating a new, much more positive impression and service. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you have any questions, please do email them to the Agents Together team.